Welcome to Motorsports Mania, the ultimate destination for car lovers, muscle car enthusiasts, and anyone passionate about automotive history. Here we take deep dives into iconic machines from the golden eras of car manufacturing, breaking down their specs, features, performance, and legacy. Today, we shine the spotlight on a nameplate that once ruled the streets and drag strips with authority. We are talking about the 1980 Plymouth Roadrunner, a car that by this point in history had evolved significantly from its raw, no-frills muscle car origins of the late 1960s. Although it may not have roared with the same intensity as its predecessors, the 1980 Roadrunner still carried the attitude and style that made it a standout name in the muscle car lineage. By 1980, the Roadrunner had undergone a serious transformation. The pure muscle car era had effectively come to an end by the mid-70s due to rising insurance costs, increasing fuel prices, and stricter emissions regulations. What was once a stripped-down speed machine had now become more of a sporty trim level on a more conventional platform. The 1980 Plymouth Roadrunner was based on the Chrysler F-body platform, shared with the Volare, and was aimed at delivering a blend of performance, style, and affordability. It was no longer the drag strip monster of the late 60s and early 70s, but rather a reflection of what muscle cars had become in the face of changing times. Under the hood, the 1980 Roadrunner offered a few engine options depending on how much performance a buyer wanted. The base engine was a 3.7-liter slant 6 that produced modest power, but for those looking for more excitement, a 5.2-liter V8 was available, and for the true enthusiasts, a 5.9-liter V8 could be selected. The 5.9-liter, also known as the 360 V8, was capable of delivering decent power for the time, making the Roadrunner one of the better performing cars still hanging onto muscle car roots in the early 80s. Transmission options included a 3-speed automatic and, more interestingly, a 4-speed manual gearbox that gave drivers a more connected and engaging driving experience. The 1980 Roadrunner stood out with its aggressive and sporty styling that tried to keep the muscle car spirit alive. It featured unique badging, distinctive graphics, and often came with a blackout grille and performance wheels. Some models had spoilers and dual exhaust tips that visually reinforced the car's performance image. While its body shared much with the Plymouth Volare, the Roadrunner trim added enough flair to make it look like more than just a typical compact coupe. The car's proportions were smaller than the original Roadrunners, in line with the industry's move toward lighter and more fuel-efficient vehicles, but it still managed to turn heads with its bold design language. Inside, the 1980 Roadrunner featured a driver-focused layout with optional bucket seats, sport steering wheel, and performance-style gauges. While the materials and overall refinement were a step up from the stripped-down interiors of the late 60s models, it was still a relatively simple cabin by modern standards. Buyers could opt for upgraded interior packages that included vinyl or cloth upholstery, center console, and improved trim elements. It wasn't luxurious, but it was functional and carried the sporty vibe that buyers expected from a name like Roadrunner. On the road, the car handled better than its size might suggest. Thanks to its relatively compact dimensions, rear-wheel drive layout, and available suspension upgrades, the 1980 Roadrunner offered respectable handling for the time. It was never intended to compete with European sports cars in tight corners, but it provided a solid and enjoyable driving experience for those who liked American muscle with a dash of practicality. Braking and steering were adequate, and the V8 engine models delivered enough grunt to make the car feel lively, especially when equipped with the manual transmission. Fuel economy was, as expected, not one of its strengths, especially with the 360 V8, which delivered low to mid-teens in miles per gallon. However, considering that most buyers of this car were more focused on performance and presence than efficiency, this was an accepted trade-off. The smaller engine options provided slightly better fuel economy, but often at the expense of performance and excitement. One of the key things to understand about the 1980 Roadrunner is that it represented the end of an era. This was the final year the Roadrunner badge would be used on this platform, and shortly after, the nameplate would disappear altogether from Plymouth's lineup. This makes the 1980 model something of a collector's item for fans of the badge, especially when found in good condition with the more powerful V8 engine and original factory trim. It may not have the blistering straight-line speed of the original Hemi-powered Roadrunners, but it still delivered a respectable blend of style, performance, and attitude. Another reason the 1980 Roadrunner remains noteworthy is that it tried to maintain muscle car DNA in a time when most manufacturers had already turned the page. While the big block engines and massive horsepower figures were long gone, this car still gave enthusiasts a chance to enjoy rear-wheel drive fun, distinctive design, and V8 power at an affordable price. That sense of fun and driver engagement is a big part of why people still seek out this model today, whether for restoration projects, weekend cruising, or just as a symbol of the fading muscle car glory days. From a collector's standpoint, the 1980 Plymouth Roadrunner is appealing due to its uniqueness and transitional nature. It's one of the last true attempts by an American automaker to sell a muscle car under a famous nameplate during a time of radical change in the auto industry. While not as powerful or iconic as its earlier versions, the 1980 model has a charm of its own, blending late 70s design with just enough performance to keep it fun. Finding one in good shape is becoming increasingly rare, but when you do, it's a piece of automotive history worth preserving. Thanks for watching and joining us here at Motorsports Mania. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1980 Plymouth Roadrunner and want more reviews, specs, and insights into classic muscle cars and performance legends, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for more legendary rides and untold stories from the world of motorsports.